It never really is too late to reinvent yourself. I know that there's so many people in life that they just don't believe it's possible at certain ages. They have just made their bed and they've really lied in it. Sometimes you choose a path that, I think you're meant to go down that path, and then you have to reassess your situation in your life and you're kind of lost. And you're a little scared because you realize not only did you not want to fit into society, but now you really don't fit in and you kind of feel left behind or behind the game. So Tony Peck comes on today to really tell an inspiring story about how it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's always best to believe in yourself and honestly learn from rejection. And if someone rejects you, go ahead and just take the time to ask them why they rejected you, and maybe there's some things that you could work on. That was one powerful thing that he did that turned a job rejection into a cross-country job opportunity. So we have about 2 hours here with Tony Peck, but we roll through a rock star into a buddy of mine that I used to work side by side with one of my favorite companies, Texas Roadhouse. And he just keeps on telling us how to keep raising the bar for yourself and always believing in yourself. Here's Tony Peck. Friends, today I have a very special friend on my show. His name is Tony Peck. He's the rock star of my life. And he's come on today to talk to you about music, touring, life after the music, all those weird moments in between finding yourself. And I think my favorite part about it is Tony's always been his biggest supporter in me, with as much as I love the self-love journey myself. I think he's a really good representation of just really taking it on the chin, and when it's low, making a joke about it because you're going to get through it. So we have no idea where this conversation's really going to go at this time, but we're excited to be back in front of each other and converse like we have a couple smoky treats and a cup of coffee in front of us and no schedule. So Tony, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Awesome to be here.
Awesome to be here. I know the stories that we're about to get into, but I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing them with me. Even just seeing your face brings back so many good memories for me. I wish that I could just infuse that feeling into the podcast for everybody, like how good it is to just see an old friend of yours. So I'm literally just going to fangirl you the whole time unless you take over the conversation. Where do you want to start the story?
I appreciate the support. I need the constant reassurance.
Yeah, I'm a big Tony fan. I could never tattoo your name across my chest like you did Busch Stadium. But trust me, there was a time where I was pretty sure you and I were just going to end up with some mom hearts on us at a tattoo shop.
That would make sense. That would be very on brand for us.
It really would. Which, for anybody that doesn't know how Tony and I met, we actually met working at a Texas Roadhouse together in Quincy, Illinois. And he walked up to my mom and let her know that he will be her son-in-law. And that is how I still introduce Tony to people these days when I have to tell them about him. So.
Yeah. You kind of, I knew immediately that we were going to be good friends. I think when we met at Texas Roadhouse.
When I saw you, I was like, my dude.
Yeah. So I kind of, I think I've always kind of developed a sort of sense of leading with humor first. If you do it right, it comes across as charm.
I think you do a great job at it. Immediately, you come off as a safe, funny person. That's what I would say about it. You're not like, oh, you're creepy and make inappropriate jokes. You're like, that guy, he can walk me to the parking lot after my shift. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I'm a life-size teddy bear, so.
Yes, you really are. One of the other things I love about you. You're just the sweetest. Okay, so obviously you had some really good times touring around the country, and I don't want to give any big spoilers away, but where do you want to start your story at?
We can start from my upbringing, I suppose. I was born into a very traditionalist family. I grew up in rural Southern Illinois, Pike County, Illinois. So the kind of just the social structure and everything around me was very, it's what you expect, like you respect your parents, you go to church. Yada,
you
yada.
might detassel at the age of 13 and 14.
Huh?
I said you might detassel corn at the age of 13 and 14. Like it's very
or
Midwestern,
even
growing
younger.
up on the farm. Yeah, or even younger if you have your own farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was from goodness as far back as I can basically remember being able to walk. I was on the farm every weekend with my dad. My dad worked overnights at a natural gas pipeline company, and then spent every other waking moment helping his dad on the farm. And so, I think one of my earliest memories is probably riding on my dad's lap on a tractor. And so I was exposed and indoctrinated and imbued with rural country life and what that life is, everything about it. I raised hogs in 4-H. I was being like pushed and groomed to go into this like very, Pike County lifestyle, really.
Yeah, no, I get it. I have a farm in Pike County to this day that my family is at. So, I mean, you're speaking my language. I knew my options there too.
Yeah. Yeah,
and really quick. It's like, are you going to take over the farm? Are you going to take over the business? Are you going to go to Western and then come back and take over the farm or the business, or maybe start another business? But I mean, no offense to anybody back home, but a lot of people, I mean, it wasn't the norm to like branch out and leave. That's what I got growing up in that area. Like it was okay. It was okay to stay.
I think it was expected in most cases.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, if you're going to take over the farm. Yeah, I get that. And again, it's like, no offense, because I still go back home. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But I was like you. I was one of the kids that I'm like, there's a world out there, and I really want to see it. And I don't know how to get there, but there's got to be more than this.
Yeah, and early on, it became very clear that I was not wanting a traditional Pike County life. My mom told me stories that when I was probably 5 years old, my older sister was in marching band, and we would go to her parade. Her marching band would be in, and she would tell me that I would wait for each marching band to pass, and when the drum row came through, I would like intently focus on them and try to like mimic them, even though I'd like I had my own little drum that I was playing on, and I would mimic them and I would march alongside them to the point where my mom would like have to go running down the block and be like, no, like come back.
Oh, how cool though. Don't you like, not to cut you off, because there's another guy that in retrospect, he didn't realize how much he loved the piano. Like when he was a kid, like he knew it was his passion, but he has little moments like that where he was like, oh, looking back now, like I couldn't take my eyes off the piano, and I wanted to know how to play it and do it. And now he teaches and it's his thing. So you looking back, you're like, obviously I was supposed to be a drummer. Like these are the memories I have where I can't even take my eyes off a drum line. I'm the same way with just any lead singer that I see. I was a vocalist when I was younger, and I strived to play guitar, but I really just strive more into dating the guitarist. But piano is also my first love, and I know that from moments of just being in a church and not being able to take my eyes off the pianist.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of that. I think the moment that I personally remember that I wanted to become a drummer was, oh goodness, how old was I? I had just come home from kindergarten. I had kindergarten in the afternoon, and I had just come home from kindergarten, and my parents had gotten a satellite dish installed, and I knew it, and I knew what that was, and I knew what that meant. That meant we had MTV.
Yes.
And so I came home with the joy of every child on Christmas morning.
Yeah, the hills are alive with the sound of music.
Yeah. I was spinning through the front yard.
I too have had
I
the
knew
same
with
moment.
that,
So
yeah. And so I come barreling off the bus into the front door. I turn on the TV immediately. I click the remote, and the very first music video that I ever see in my life is Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit" music video.
yes.
And I see Dave Grohl. I don't pay attention to Kurt. I don't pay attention to Chris. I see Dave Grohl in the back of that music video, absolutely losing his mind.
Just getting it. Yes.
And it was that moment. That moment was a defining moment for me where I said, I don't care what it takes or what I have to do. I'm going to do that. And I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that I was going to do it. And so from that point on, that became my mission. That was my, I wanted to know how to get there. And with that came the rejection of everything Pike County and everything traditional. And I just wanted out. I wanted to get out, and, I wanted to be different. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to play music. I wanted to see the world. And that came with its own set of complications, I guess, growing up, a lot of bullying, a lot of, looks. My dad was not into it at all. There was a moment I remember where I felt like I really embarrassed him. We were, I was his only son, and he had me at the John Deere implement shop. But that's my boy right there. He's my boy. And I remember this woman she was working the counter. She leans over and she's like, "You gonna be a farmer like your daddy when you grow up?" And I said, "No, I'm going to be a rock star."
Yes.
And everyone laughed. Everyone in the shop laughed. And we got back in the truck, and my dad flew up at me. He's like, "You ain't never going to play the music." I'm just like, okay. And, yeah, so that, that kind of, there was some separation there, I feel like. And then, my mom was always super supportive. She knew it was going to drive my dad nuts, but she bought me my first drum set. I started playing, practicing only when he was not in the house.
That makes sense.
Just, grew up and went through high school, and just couldn't wait to leave, honestly. I started going to punk rock shows when I was in high school, and just fell in love with it and fell in love with the scene. And I was driving 45 minutes away because that was the nearest punk rock scene in Springfield. And so,
it would have been Springfield, Illinois that you went to all these shows?
Yeah, it was Springfield. It was just that was the only choice you really had if you wanted to be in the punk rock scene or the punk
you're
rock
absolutely
community.
right. I'm just setting the scene because I'm okay, you're right. Because the closest we went to Quad Cities, St. Louis. Yeah, we went to a few in Springfield. Peoria is another place. Those are,
yeah.
And it was a trip to get to a show, let alone a scene. There was no scene where we were from. I remember Seven Dust came into Quincy and Broadway got clogged with traffic. And the local newspaper had something to talk about the next day. And the churches complained, but whatever.
Yeah. Just through that experience, I started a band with some people. We did sort of regional shows just kind of throughout the Midwest, Kirksville, Missouri, Springfield, Jacksonville, Peoria, Champaign, Danville, as far east as Cincinnati, which I thought was a really big deal. I was like, I'm playing in Cincinnati. And it was my senior year of high school too. And so,
that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was, it felt like a big moment for me, to kind of start to, I guess, realize this dream that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I had plans, after high school to go to a technical school, because I didn't feel like I was good enough for 4-year college because my teachers and my guidance counselor and everybody, it kind of impressed upon me that notion that I just wasn't very smart. And so,
Do you think
you
it's
know,
weird that a guidance counselor is like, "Aw, Tony"?
yeah, yeah. Oh, you're dumb.
Yeah.
And
Oh
and so yeah,
shit.
yeah. It was definitely really I don't think I felt very supported by anyone.
You just
But
felt like
the
you were
other
kind of already written off as like the class clown and you weren't going to do
yeah,
anything. Like that's just kind of how they treated you.
yeah, pretty much. I was a freak. I was a joke. I was the only boy who ever painted his nails in the whole school, and boy, did I hear about that.
Oh my,
You know,
especially in the time that you did it too. Because
oh
now there
yeah,
are kids in the school that you went to that have their nails painted. And it's like it's totally normal, but you have to think of the time that you painted your nails and where you live.
yeah, yeah. This was the late '90s, entering into the early 2000s. Was my 4 years of high school, and my senior year was when 9/11 happened. I had plans post high school graduation to go to a tech school or something, learn a trade. And when 9/11 happened, I think for everybody else who was alive at that point in time, it really kind of became like this wake up call. Because I don't think a lot of people realize, like, before 9/11, not only was the country much different, but like there was this sense of security that, like, you were always going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like we had for the most part, we had been living in such a extended period of peacetime that, like, the idea of like another major conflict or another major war was just like gone. Like
Well,
the
but
Cold
it was
War had
also
ended.
on our ground, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, it's like
exactly.
we had all this stuff in 91. And then we fast forward to 2001. Like I didn't know what terrorist attack meant because one, I'm in fourth grade, and two, that shit doesn't happen in America.
Yeah,
So I think that, like, yeah, there are obviously still disagreements between us and other countries going on, but the fact that something had happened on our soil,
yeah,
unfathomable at the time. But you're right, the
right.
safety and security before 2001, like, it's just kind of like you're like, oh, just like your head up in the clouds about it. And then you're like, you remember 9/11 because, like, you'll never feel like that again. It's the same with
Yeah,
COVID. Do you remember life before COVID? You'll actually never feel that way again because you'll always remember what COVID took from you and did to you,
yeah.
you know?
Wow, that's a realization I don't think I've ever actually
Well, you're
considered.
welcome, friend.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Because everybody's like,
Wow.
I want to go back to 2019. I'm like, it will never happen. Psychologically, you can never go back before then. You'll never be able to know the feeling truly because you'll always be reminded that COVID has happened from now on.
Wow. Wow. That's heavy.
There's your
Yeah,
tree
I
branch,
never,
bud.
it's just interesting because I don't think that I ever, at least to this point, have never put those two events, or like, I've never compartmentalized them in my mind
Well, you don't think
as
about
like,
how it's going to change your brain chemistry. Like,
yeah,
it happened to all of us collectively. Whether like your COVID experience and my COVID experience, we just talked about them before the show, is completely different, but they changed us collectively, but individually, they've also done something to where, I mean, I can't tell you how many times it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we lost that many years. Oh, well, it actually hasn't been that long since I've wanted to see you, but you remember COVID, right? All of us were locked down for a year. Every conversation you have, that's how it is now. It's like, oh, that's crazy that they still don't do that. And it's like, oh, well, remember COVID? They shut all the bathrooms down and now we all have to change our kids' diapers in the car. Like dumb
yeah,
shit like that. So
yeah,
it's just so embedded into society that I think that we all process it collectively and just like, oh, we realize sanitation is now a campaign, or oh, I never really wash my hands. But on the individual level, it is kind of crazy. I'm glad we had that
yeah.
moment together. But no, I've never put 9/11 and COVID next to each other. I just know it changed everybody, no matter who you talk to.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, like for me, that was the moment that like I was like, this could be it, and like you don't at 18. Typically, I feel like at 18 you don't really start to question your mortality or wonder how much time you have left to get the things done that you want to get done. And so that was weighing super heavy on me. And like, and it's bizarre, right? Because I lived in Pleasant Hill. Like, no one's ever probably going to attack Pleasant Hill.
Right?
But like, but there was still this feeling of like, I only have so much time to do the things that I want to do, that I need to do for me. And so, yeah. So after I graduated from high school, I just said no, no to college. And I got a job delivering pizzas at a restaurant in Pittsfield, Illinois, and just started touring a lot with my band.
Wait a minute.
More and more.
What was the place called? Do you remember? Does it start with a G?
Giovanni's
Pizza. Yes, we used to eat that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy. I love their pizza. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah. Like true Italian family recipe. Mwah.
Yeah. But I don't. We always called him Pete, but his real name was Pietro. And,
oh my gosh. No, our dad took us in there and we always used to meet him. So as soon as you said pizza place in Pittsfield, I'm like, G, it starts with a G.
Yeah. So we were he had a Christmas party for us one year and we were watching, just kind of passively watching, like the TV was on, but I think it was the History Channel and they were doing like this, like history of the mafia or whatever. And I turned and like paid attention to it for a second. And they were like, this mafia, this very famous historic mafia in Chicago, blah, 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 blah. And then they said the last name of the guy that they were talking about. And I said, hey, Pete, this guy's got the same last name as you. And he looks at the TV and he goes, oh, yeah, that's my uncle.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And I was just like, oh, shit.
Yes.
So I'm delivering pizzas for the mob.
Yes, perfect. No, I'm obsessed with mafia stuff. I could literally tree ranch right now and just say, if you're ever in Vegas, you have to go to the Mob Museum, like by the El Cortez. It's amazing. Yeah. They have a piece of the Valentine's Day Massacre wall in that museum. Yeah.
Ooh, but that's full of energy.
I'm so glad you brought it up because there's a lot of negative, dense energy in the room. And I paid as much respects as I could to it, but I'm a big believer in if you don't remember the past, you're condemned to repeat it. So there's a lot of things that are creepy that I do like to see just because I'm like, that happened. Humans actually inflicted that much pain on each other, and I want to remember. But back to the mafia, so I can get back to you. I 100% believe I lived a past life as a mafia person, as attracted as I am to it, historically learning about it, loving it, admiring it in some weird Bonnie and Clyde-esque type way. There's no way that I don't have a mafia life in my past life. And I feel the same for you too. I don't know if you were like necessarily a mob boss or even a hitman. I just feel like you're Tony, Where's Tony? You know what I mean?
And it's fun. So that's even funnier because when it comes to my name, I know that my mom never anticipated on me ever meeting any Italians in my life. Because every time I meet any Italian, and I say my name's Tony, their eyes grow wide, and they're like, Tony.
Yeah, family.
Like, I'm part of their family immediately. Like that name buys me so much cred, and then I have to let them know the heartbreaking information that I'm not actually Italian. My mom just liked the name, and
they're like, oh,
you're not Italian, but your name's Tony. And I'm like, yeah. I'm fully aware, and I'm so sorry that my mom did this to your community.
I'm so sorry. I want to be one of you as well.
Yeah, please teach me your Sunday gravy recipe.
Yes. Okay, so you're delivering pizza for my childhood favorite pizza place, Giovanni's. We're making some really good connections here.
Yeah.
You're bringing back some nice memories for me.
Yeah, I'm delivering pizzas. They're really cool about like being flexible and letting me take off for a couple of weeks to do like a Midwest run of shows and coming back. And I'm doing this, and like we're building like this kind of regional fan base around Illinois and Missouri and Iowa, Indiana, Wisconsin, and labels just kind of start to reach out, and I'm like, oh boy, this is exciting. And we're about ready to like sign a record deal, and out of like nowhere, they're like, hey, we're done. We're gonna kick you out of the band. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we don't want you in the band anymore. And I'm just like, oh my god, like I started this. This is mine,
Mm-hmm.
And so I got kicked out of the band in 2003. 2004. In 2004, I got kicked out of this band. Spring of 2004. So 2 years after I graduated from high school. And I knew that I still wanted to keep playing, but I thought that was it because who am I ever going to find to play with again in the Pike County area?
Oh,
And
right. And just that kind of hurts your feelings because, like, you invented it.
yeah, exactly.
You're like, how do I
That's
get
what
kicked
band,
out of my own band? I don't even get it. It's the
exactly.
scene from Rockstar with, like, Mark Wahlberg, right? He's just like, how
Yeah,
do you kick
kind
me
of.
out of my own band? This is my mic cord. And then Jennifer
Yeah,
Aniston
yeah.
comes in
I
with,
didn't have a
like,
meltdown like that. I took it pretty well. I took it on the chin, and I was just like, oh, okay,
yeah, doesn't really make sense
and,
to me, but I guess I'll go over here.
yeah. So I thought I was done. I thought I was washed up, and I was trying to figure out like what's the next move for me? Where do I go from here? And I got an AOL Instant Messenger chat request from this guy in Peoria, and he says, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I play in this band called The Forecast." And he's like, "We played a show together once," and I'm like, "I don't remember, Like at this point, I've already played so many shows, like I don't know who I've played with." And
Oh my God.
and so he's like, I'd really be interested in having you come up and try out on drums. And I'm like, okay. And I said, can you like send me a link to your stuff and like the songs you want me to learn or whatever? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'll pop a CD in the mail for you with like a set list, and you can learn the songs and come up and try out. And I was like, okay, sure. And so I still hadn't heard this band that I was getting ready to audition for, and I was really curious. It's like I really want to hear what this band is like, but I don't have like very fast internet speeds. I had dial-up still. And
You said AOL. I know you have dial-up, bro.
yeah. So at the time I was dating this girl, and I messaged her and I said, hey, I know you have like a higher speed internet connection. Is there any way you can like stream this band and tell me if they're good or not? Because I don't know what I just kind of agreed to.
And you did not use the word stream. Let's be honest. Nobody used the word stream when there was dial-up.
Yeah.
It's so hard. We have no idea how we used to talk about stuff. We're like, oh, I streamed that back in the day. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah. No, can you go like to their
Can you go listen to this?
Yeah, their pure volume page or whatever
yes,
it was.
It's just so funny. I have to point out, like, we didn't talk like that back then.
Yeah, for sure. And so she goes and she listens to it and she sends me a message back and she says, yeah, they're pretty good. They kind of sound like the Smashing Pumpkins. And I was like, all right, I'm down with that. That sounds cool. And so I get the CD and I start listening to it, and she wasn't wrong. There's definitely like a couple of songs that sounded kind of pumpkinsy. And so I learned the songs you want me to learn. I didn't even play them. I just listened to the CD, and I was like, yeah, I can play that. I'm like, yeah, I can play that. I'm like, yeah, I can play that. And so that was all I did. And so time comes for me to come up and try out, and I drive up to Peoria, and I meet him, and he's like, all right, yeah, pull your drums around back, set them up. I was like, all right. I get in, I set up my drums, and as I'm setting them up, it starts to hit me. I'm like, I've never actually played these fucking songs. Like, I know how they go, but I've never played them. And so I sit down, and he starts up with his amp and stuff, and it's just me and him. And he's like, all right, which one do you want to play? And so I'm just going, like, in the order of the set list. I'm like, yeah, this first song. And so I click it off, and we start playing, and I play the whole song all the way through. And after we're done, he's like, that was good. You know, it was a little bit fast, but it was good. And I was like, all right, cool. And then we play all the other songs. And when we're done, he goes, all right, cool. Well, we got a show on Friday. And I'm like, well, it's Wednesday now, and I'm 3 hours from my house, and I didn't bring a change of clothes. You know? And I was like, all right, cool. And so,
am I sleeping on your couch?
I was like, do I stay? Do I go home? Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, oh, it's cool. Yeah, I just, crash. And so,
total musician.
So I showed up to the show, and like, I still didn't know who the other two band members were. Like, I met them at the show that we were getting ready to play. You know, like, I was like, this is such a weird thing. And so basically joined this band. We had some member changes because the other two people who I didn't meet until that show were kind of at that point done. Like, they were over it. They didn't want to do it anymore. And so it was just back to me and this guy. And then we recruited two others, Matt and Shannon. So it's Dustin, Matt, Shannon, myself. And it was like write songs for a month and a half that summer. And we had studio time booked in September and for like a month in Nebraska. And so we went to Nebraska for a month and cut a record. And then started shopping it around to different labels. And in December or January, we started getting like really serious interest from Victory Records, who at that point in time had bands like Atreyu and Taking Back Sunday and Hawthorne Heights and Thursday, bands that had like at that point in time we're starting to really get very, very big and popular.
Oh yeah, they were the main scene people.
Yeah, exactly. And so we kind of thought to ourselves like, hey, why maybe we can, be popular and not have to go get some stupid job. And
that's the goal.
Yeah. So we ended up after some like just really bizarre negotiations. Basically, every time he extended a contract offer to us, like it was just like too many records. Like he wanted like the initial offer was like 8 records for like $10,000 signing bonus or something. Like something.
Oh my God, just something completely
bullshit. Like very bad, just like not in our favor at all.
Yeah.
And so we would like say no, and he would like send us these really like abusive emails, which should have been a red flag to us of like how this relationship was going to go. But he would send us these like horrible emails, like you guys are pieces of shit, you'll never make anywhere without me, and blah 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 blah. And then he would send back another offer, and it would still be like really bad. And we'd say no, and then he'd you guys have your attitude, you're so ego, and and it's just like,
do you think that's how he gets people to just sign on at just such a penny rate? He's just like, I'm going to berate them and make them feel so small and untalented that they have no choice but to make me 8 records of their soul for $10,000. And the 4 band members have to split the $10,000 before taxes.
Yeah, exactly. We finally got like a deal that was like reasonable. And so we signed, and we put out that first record in May of 2005. And like instantly, like my life like changed in ways that I like didn't expect it to. Like it was like I went from playing like punk rock houses and like basement shows and like empty small bars to like very few people and like eating out of dumpsters, and like sleeping in the van and like just like really bottom of like the pile shit, right? And as soon as we signed, like our first tours, we were playing like very full clubs now, and like people were there to hear bands.
People
and
were there.
I got money at the end of every show. Like, it wasn't a lot, but I got like, like enough to eat something.
Was
that doesn't come from a dumpster.
Per diem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got per diems, and it was just like this awesome. I was like, I've made it. Like for me, this was making it. Like I was like, it's gonna be all uphill from here. Like the ride's never gonna end. And so. Gosh, just hit the road and probably spent, on average, like 280 days a year on the road for the next until 2010. Like, so from 2005 to like next 5 years, basically. I don't think I was home more than like 50 days tops.
Which, I mean, you didn't have shit going home anyways. I mean, obviously, when you're out on the road, you miss being home. Like, you miss the simple things in life. Like, even something just, oh, man, grocery shopping and going home and just, like, being in my house. I understand missing all those when you're away from it. But at the same time, like, if you weren't touring 300 days out of the year and you were just dreaming about touring, like, it's kind of funny how when you're, you know, you want the other thing when you don't have it, right?
Yeah, the grass is always greener, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like there was definitely like, there was a feeling of like heartache when, you know, oh, like my friends are graduating from college and getting really good jobs and getting married and starting families, and I'm still on tour, you know, like,
yeah,
there's a kind of,
I live in a van.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great though. Like, it's what I always wanted. Like, I get to play in a different city every night with my best friends, and we just take the stage and go nuts and have the time of our life. And we don't have to worry about any bullshit and some stupid boss or anything like that. It's just play music, make music, record music, release music, tour. Like, that was everything that I'd ever wanted, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I got to do a lot of really crazy, fun stuff. I got to, you know, perform in front of like 80,000 people at Giant Stadium in New Jersey. They weren't there for us, but we got to benefit the crowd.
You're like, I was the opening band. I'm gonna be humble enough just to let you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was like
badass.
a giant festival. It was a giant festival show called Bamboozle, and My Chemical Romance was the headliner. And this is like right after they released Black Parade.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
What a time to be alive, let alone, who cares if you're the opener? You're the opener for My Chemical Romance after they released the Black Parade.
Yeah. So I got to do that. I got to play at South by Southwest like every year for like 5 years in a row.
Dang.
And because of that, I fell in love with Austin, Texas very much. I would say
I am in love with Austin, Texas as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That place, and they always showed up for us too. Like, I love that so much because like even when we would tour through there and not play not during South by Southwest, man, Austin was just a town that always showed up for our shows and always like made us feel really good. So I just love Austin.
No, I totally get you. I do. I'm having some flashbacks of us talking about Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Because we did get to compare like tour venues. Obviously, I wasn't the musician. I was dating the musician when I got to go out and be with him. And I remember comparing locations sometimes. So I'd be like, did you go here? Do you know what this place is? Did you play here?
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many different clubs that I loved playing at that, you know, like there's moments where, you know, like we got to play at CBGB's before it closed down. Like, so that's like really awesome to me.
Oh, that is cool.
Played at the Metro in Chicago, which is kind of like this historic theater for live music that's in Wrigleyville.
Mm-hmm.
I've played at the Roxy and the Troubadour in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, like just cool stuff like that, you know. It's like, oh, I'm here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing our name on like a marquee of like the Roxy, you know, there on the Sunset Strip. I'm just like,
I've never had that experience. Like, the closest experience I had is literally just going to the Grand Ole Opry Museum. Like, I haven't actually been in the Grand Ole Opry, but I grew up watching it with my grandparents. And when I was younger, like before I met Amy Lee, I was going to be a country singer. So we watched the Grand Ole Opry obsessively because, like, that's who I was patterning to go after. And then I met Amy Lee when I was younger. And, I mean, bye-bye Shania. Bye-bye Jody Messina. Bye-bye Dolly Parton. Like, Amy Lee is who I still to this day, I'm like, yes, we're not worthy. But I couldn't imagine, like, even I gave up on music a long time ago, which is why I love supporting it so much. And I don't think it's not like you can get back on the drums and I can learn piano again and sing whatever I want. There's obviously just steps that get you there, but I do think, like, I wonder what it would be like to have stood on that stage and been like, hey, we saw this when we were kids, like
Yeah.
that moment. And I know, like I told you last week, I've never been to Los Angeles, but I know that you've been there several times. So, like, the Roxy to you, I think, is like the Grand Ole Opry to me. Like, there's just something innately about it. And you got to stand there and do that, which I think is even cooler. But
I mean, it's definitely like, I think I was born in 1983, and I had an older sister who I kind of idolized, and she was always listening to music with me. And I think that's probably how I learned to make music, like one of my escapes.
Yeah.
But I during that time as I was growing up as a really small child, listening to like records with my sister. She was into like the hair metal and glam metal bands of the 1980s, and so knowing that like bands like Motley Crue or any of those, like that LA scene of like
That's exactly who
bands.
I was thinking of when you said the Roxy.
Yeah, like that, like exactly, like they're so well associated with that venue, and to be like, yeah, I'm fucking Motley Crue right now,
Yeah. I'm pissing where they pissed. This is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'm playing on the same stage that they did. Like.
Oh yeah.
Very different time periods, very different cultural shift, but yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't get away with any of that stuff these days. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I really do like to pull that part of your story apart like slow string cheese. I'm like, can you put yourself in Tony's shoes right now and be like, I'm playing the Roxy. Like, this is my high school dream and I'm actually doing it. Like, I'm actually signed to a record label. I'm actually touring. And I'm from Pike County, Illinois.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
Imagine spending your formative years in a cornfield.
Just looking up and dreaming.
Yeah. And then one day you find yourself, taking the main stage in the big room at the Roxy, It's pretty insane.
It's one of my favorite stories, though.
Yeah, and that was, it's still like the most treasured probably period of my life, was being part of the Forecast and being in that band and touring together and having all these experiences. It was everything. And then in around 2009, we left Victory Records. We signed with Eyeball Records, which was like a smaller label, and we put out one record with them that was like released to very little attention, and it was like, oh no. And then you start to notice the crowd get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're like, oh no, this is the wrong direction.
Right.
And so we released one last record in 2012, but before that, in 2011, we had just gotten back from a tour, and it was like right at the beginning of 2011. We just gotten back from a tour, and as we're pulling in the van to stop and get out and go home, our lead singer Dustin, kind of puts it in park and turns and looks to us and says, I'm moving to New York City tomorrow. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I've accepted an internship position, and I'm going to take it. And I'm like, internship? Like, we're in our mid-20s. What could you possibly intern,
We're rock stars, man. We're not interns.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, what could you possibly be doing? And so, yeah, he ended up moving to New York City, got an internship at this artist management company. And it makes sense because he was always the business guy for our band. So it makes sense that he would then carry those skills over and become a business guy. And so he started doing that, and then his career is just taken off. Like he's to the moon. But what that meant for me was that I had to go home and sort my fucking life out.
Right. Yeah.
I went from having everything that I had ever wanted my whole life. And keep in mind, at this point, I'm like 27, 28. And so that was everything that I had ever wanted, everything that I poured all of my energy into since like as far back as I can remember is now gone. Like I've lost that. I'm still friends with them. We're still like Dustin's still my brother. I love Shannon to death. Like we're still very close, but he left, and now we have to pick up the pieces of our own lives to figure out like what the hell am I supposed to be doing. And so I came back to Quincy, Illinois, and started just getting random jobs, bartending and waiting tables, because I figured that now that I have my own guy on the inside, right, I'm gonna get another offer because I'm too good. And
your ego needs that recovery in that time, though. You know, it really is. Yeah. It really is just such an awful, awful feeling to have something like that just ripped away from you. And not that like Dustin never had like any mean intentions. Like he's obviously doing what is best for him. But to acknowledge the feelings that you're going through at that time, you're like, literally, I had my whole life planned out. Like, I'm going to be a rock star. You know, we're going to tour the country together. You're my family. We're going to be together. And then, yeah, like tomorrow, he's not physically there. And the dreams that you thought that you had together are no longer there either. And I like that there's no bad blood. I know that you guys are still brothers, but I mean, really putting myself in your position and knowing that you have to go back to Pike County and figure your life out. I mean, you and I have both been in that predicament. And it's a sobering experience, even if you're sober, is the best way that I could put it.
Yeah, it's definitely, the only way I can think about it or put it into any sort of like comparison, and I don't know if this, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like it was the closest I think I may ever feel to like what a divorce feels like, because those bonds and those connections or whatever may still be there, at least on your end, but you've lost the one thing that you've been pouring all of your heart and your energy into, and you're just like, you're gutted. Like you
didn't want to leave. So you got divorced. You obviously didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like being left and then going through the divorce as well.
Right. I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And I went through like a grieving period of like.
Oh, I had that with my first podcast. That was my baby. It was. I can't even, I still don't even know how to go into detail about it all the time. But when you said like, oh, I was gutted, I'm like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Which, I mean, I will prevail, but that grieving period and the feeling of divorce, like all the things that you're expressing are all the things that I've literally gone through the last couple months with transitioning. So my heart goes out to you on that because I know it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. But so I came home. I was living in Quincy, and just got random jobs bartending and waiting tables and whatever. And this opportunity to work at the new opening Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, I mean, okay, so let's put this into perspective for people that are just like, okay, so another restaurant open. Texas Roadhouse is not Applebee's, okay? We are talking about a full-blown, successful plan just sitting, and it's about to hit your community. We're talking about 18,000, plus jobs. We're, money infused into the local government. Just, so many things that Texas Roadhouse brought to Quincy, Illinois that, I mean, our jobs alone and us meeting and sitting here today is one. But I do obviously now leaving Roadhouse and the hype and the culture and everything, it's really hard for me to explain the importance of Texas Roadhouse in my life and just how big of a company they are to people that didn't really drink the Kool-Aid. They just think that all restaurants are the same, you know? And yeah. I mean, I sat there during training the same day you did, and I was like, don't know what I'm doing with my life, just came here, gonna work this job, everything's gonna be great, like still young, still have no idea what's going on. And you just have all these trainers like drinking massive amounts of Red Bull, just jumping around you, and you're like, I can never be this positive. They're going to find out about me. That's what I remember thinking during training. I was like, I'm not going to make it through training. They're going to find out.
Yeah. No, there is, it's, I think for me, I was optimistic. I thought maybe, even if like I didn't get another offer to go out on the road, which I was praying every day would come. But like, even if I didn't get another offer on the road, like this felt like a really good opportunity for me to like have some sense of stability and maybe start trying to live like a normal person. Somebody. I
feel like I was there in my life too, except for like I obviously just didn't leave my favorite rock band. I just left my boyfriend of however many years. And like the forecast was your identity. Like that relationship defined a huge chunk of my life. It was my identity. And it was my plan. Like we were supposed to be together, right? In your little adolescent mind. So like when I started working at Roadhouse, I was living with him during training, and the day before opening, I put the key under the mat, packed my bags up, and left. So when I literally started Roadhouse, I started a whole new identity and a whole new life. And there were a lot of people in that opening that I found out later down the road that we were all in literally the same format of our life. Like you had just come back to figure your shit out. I was literally starting a whole new life and identity. And there were a couple people that had just moved into Quincy at the same time of the opening. I don't want to say their names, but so many of us were going through a transitional period in our life where, yes, you're right, the stability of Roadhouse is probably what shaped us into who we are today. So I'm always super thankful for those times, not just the people, but just those times in general, because I can honestly say I don't know what would have happened to me if I didn't have the stability of Roadhouse at that time.
I think that the friendships that I made and the connections that I made with yourself and, Zach and, other people, and I was able to bring my friend Timmy into the fold.
Yes.
And so I think those relationships kept me going. I think those friendships and relationships kind of helped me adjust to like, okay, like here's what is normal. Like here's what normal people do. Like this is how you act. And it was super helpful for that. It was super helpful in helping me like transition to like a real world,
I think maybe that's why I felt like closer to you though, because obviously, like I said, I wasn't the musician, but I understood the lifestyle. Like I was out on the road, I lived in the van, I sold the merch at the shows, and I don't have as many shows under my belt as you do, so I'm not boasting by any means. I'm just trying to set a scene. So I'm also trying to figure out how to be a normal person, and I've already tasted that life. Like I already know it's out there. I already know it's attainable, however you're supposed to get into it. But I too was struggling with like how to be normal in those times. So then when I met you, you're like, I just came off the road from touring. I was in this band, kind of popular. Don't know if you know me. It's kind of no big deal if you do. He's like, but this is what I've been doing. And I'm like, I identify with your story so much because like you were dating me on the road, and like you showed me your world. You kept me safe and showed it to me. And now I'm here trying to figure my life out, right? Because all of I was in Jefferson City, Missouri. So after that life ended, I too had to come back home and be like, okay, what are you actually doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Because now, I've tasted that and I want that life. So coming back into Roadhouse, I know that we like identified heavily and safely with each other on that, where I'm like, I'm really struggling with just being a normal human today. I don't know why. It's not like I was super famous or I did anything besides just go support my boyfriend, but I understand the life that you came from and honestly like how easily depressed you can get from being away from it. I think that was the biggest thing is like we had this look where it was just like
And I'm glad you're touching on this because I actually talked about this in one of my very first college essays. That do you remember the story of Brooks in Shawshank Redemption, where Brooks had been in prison for so long that when he was finally released into the free world and given the chance to reintegrate himself into society and to adjust, he just couldn't do it. Like, no matter how hard he tried, he just, whether it was that he was significantly older, so he probably had health and age issues and whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, there's something to that. Like, you're so isolated in that life from the concerns and worries and issues that normal everyday people deal with and live with. And so readjusting to like just being a dude or a person in a normal world is just, it sounds probably crazy to anybody who's listening to this, but it was one of the hardest things I think I've ever done.
Well, you feel like left behind in a way, even though like it's your choice to go do that. But when you're trying to reintegrate back into society, you just feel like you're behind. And you're not. You went out and you had all of this amazing, like, worldly experience, right? You can't get that in a college room, no matter how much you pay. But you come back, and the way that society's set up is it's just like, oh, are you done playing, kid? Get in line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a weird feeling, like, to feel like you don't have anything valuable to offer.
Yeah.
Because the things that you've learned and the experiences that you've had and the skills you may have developed, there's not really a way for you to translate that.
Well, they're not certified, or they're, there's no certification program for being a wanderer and a vagabond. I figured out how to make money off of it, but I'm not saying everybody else can, Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really hard to figure out how to translate all of those experiences and everything into something meaningful in a day-to-day sort of life. And so,
or a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, exactly. which we'll get there. But but basically, so working at Texas Roadhouse, 2012,
2013,
and then 2013. Working at Texas Roadhouse. My mom has a botched surgery, and her body basically just starts to quit. She was a type 2 diabetic, and she admittedly didn't take very good care of herself, despite my pleas to do so. But just basically all of her major organs just started to just kind of quit. She lost her independence. She was in a nursing home. I was trying to work full time and support myself and, take care of my mom. And her kidneys started to fail real bad, and to the point where like she was having to get like, what's it called? Dialysis.
Oh yeah.
And so, it was bad. And this is my mom. Like my mom was so proud of me, like, no matter what I did. Like, to everybody else who I grew up with, like, who told me that I could never do what I did. And when the band thing ended and I came home and I was waiting tables at the age of, like, 28, 29, like, they were the first people to throw it back in my face, like, told you so, like, they were, like...
They're the miserable ones that never branched out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, you've been like living on your farm that you inherited from your dad. Like, what have you done?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, so like my mom just never saw it that way. My mom was always supportive of me. She always believed in me. She was my biggest fan. And so, yeah. So when she started to fail, I could tell she was getting weaker. But like I was like, I in my mind I kept denying it. I'm saying like, no, she's gonna be fine. Like she's gonna get better. It's getting better. Like like just trying to reassure myself. And unfortunately, I was wrong, and she ended up passing away in August of 2013. And I found out while I was waiting tables.
I feel like I was there that day.
I think you were.
I don't know why. I just feel like I was there.
Yeah, I basically like.
Well, you have to understand that you sold your mother's decline comedically to everybody as well. So when your mom died is when all of us got like a front row view of like how much her death affected you, the realization of like her leaving and then her not being there. And like, I know how much you leaned on us before her death and during her decline and afterwards. But afterwards is when we got like the full scale picture of, I believe we were having coffee one time afterwards because I was like, hey, let's go get some coffee and talk when, you have some time. And you said, my mom is in a lot of pain, so I'm obviously like glad for her that she's not in pain anymore and here. But what I just realized is that I am intrinsically alone. Like my mom was the last person and she was my biggest fan and she's the only person that I had. And now she's gone. And I just kind of feel like my program ran out again. And that happens to me often. So it's not like, I'm not going to figure it out. But right now, the awareness that you had and knowing like, hey, my biggest fan's gone. And like we got a front row seat to that grief and that pain.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think, like I've always, from an early age, I've always dealt with trauma and adversity by trying to not let it get the better of me. And whether that's with humor or with jokes or just taking the pain and the grief and turning it around and using it as fuel or motivation to rise above it. That's kind of just how I operate, because after you have enough tragedies in life, if you ever let it get the better of you, that's like, for me, it's like losing,
Yeah.
It's like,
I feel the same way.
It's giving up on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I've always been like this, like as a person, but like I've never wanted to give up on myself. I've come close, but I've never wanted to. Like there's like, and maybe it's fight or flight, or maybe it's this like innate desire to keep living.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I just can't give up on myself. Like I refuse. Like, it's like,
I've seen you in some dark times. Obviously, losing your mother was a big one. But I mean, just obviously with the feeling lost, don't know where to go. Like I said, like you got off the road at 28 and 29. So obviously you went through my friends graduated. They have their white picket fence. Like they're settled in, right? And I think that doesn't get talked enough about with creative people. Obviously, like they're operating in a society that wasn't made for them, like right-brained people, right? They're just like, oh, you're creative, learn a left brain skill and you'll be able to fit in here.
yeah.
But you're not the first person that I know really struggles with like how am I not only going to do it today, but how can I continuously do it over time? You are pulled by like this invisible muse in your head almost, because you think of everything creatively, which I think is why you thrive in your job today. You're able to be creative.
Yeah.
But again, like, just so I don't lose my tree branch, being able to see you in those moments, I credit you for never taking it out on anybody. Like, you've had days where like you were frustrated, but you weren't like mean to anybody. It always made you more empathetic and compassionate towards other people in any situation. I think like that was your one up in society, was you had an intuition that a lot of these people that never had the courage to go for their dreams never developed. And like I said, like I was starting my life over. I think I was like 22, I think, when we started then. And yeah, I think one of the main reasons I wanted you on the show is you're always so optimistic and inspiring, and you never gave up. And I think it's because like you didn't give up on things where I would be like, ah, shit, dude, I'd be dead. Like, nope, bye. Nope, better luck next life. Not doing this. And you just came and you had a smile on your face every day. Hi, Shy, how you doing? You know, you'd be complimenting people, hugging people. You always, like, I call it the Robin Williams effect because I realize I do this to people too. But it's like you never want anybody to feel as bad as you're feeling. And if you constantly walk around with like a cloud over your head, but people don't know that the cloud's over your head, but you know the cloud's over your head, you go around and you literally just pick everybody up. And that's you. And yeah. I think it's just a part of who you are, your character and your soul. But I really do think it's because you don't want people to feel as bad as you've felt in so many different times of your life, whether it's the trauma from home, the bullying from school, you know, any adversity that life's really thrown at you. So
I absolutely like agree with that. I think that Robin Williams example, because what was it that what they said is like people who are going through like the most severe trauma and pain experiences, they know that they don't want anybody else to ever go through what they're going through. And so they work really hard to make sure that like everyone around them is having a great time. You know?
Oh yeah, like you're always pouring energy into everybody else. I mean, oh my gosh, you were one of the best pick-me-ups ever when I came into work. Like if I needed to know if I looked good, all I had to do was say hello to you. You're like, Shy, you're just glowing today. Oh, you look so great, which is great because, you know, I just left a very harsh, I call it a karmic relationship. And I felt like I was just falling apart every day. And I was like, if I can just get to Roadhouse and get with my people, you know, and get with my routine, you know, I'm going to walk out with a couple $100 and I'm going to go hang out with my friends and everything's going to be fine. Like at that time in my life, that was really restructuring. But just to backtrack, that analogy that you made about him leaving jail and obviously not knowing how to integrate in real life, I can say a lot of us in that restaurant were going through at that time.
Yeah, I would say that's
so.
That's pretty accurate.
Spoiler alert, because I love reminiscing on the Jimmy Kimmel time because I was also in your life at this time too. So did you apply for the tickets, apply for the, like, repping St. Louis Cardinals? Let's get into this story because this is definitely one of my favorite stories.
Right. So this was actually shortly after my mother passed. It would have been the 2013 playoffs and World Series for Major League Baseball. I got an email from Dustin, and he said, "Hey, can you do me a favor and take a photo of your chest and send it to this email?"
I love Dustin.
Like no context. That was the only context he provided. And I look at the email address he wants me to send it to, and it's an @JimmyKimmelLive.com email address. And I'm like, I just got asked to send a topless photo of myself to a complete stranger who I'm assuming works at Jimmy Kimmel. Let's go with it. Let's see where this thread unravels to. And so I took a topless selfie of myself and sent it to this JimmyKimmelLive.com email. And I got an immediate response. And he said, "Is that real?" And I said, "Yes." And when I got the response, I looked at the bottom, and it said like producer of Jimmy Kimmel Live. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's a producer of Jimmy Kimmel Live. And said, "Is that real?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Would you be willing to jump on a Skype call and prove that it's real?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so I jumped on a Skype call with him, and he was like, "All right." He's like, "Take the shirt off." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, he's like, I've seen this before. I'm not wasting no time.
Yeah, so I took my shirt off. He's like, "All right, scratch it." And I was like, "All right." So he's like, "Scratch it harder." And I was like, scratching even harder. He's like, "All right, get like a wet washcloth with some soap and like wash it." And I was just like, "This is getting weird."
I was just
like,
gonna say, like, how weird is this?
I was soaping my chest up for someone
For
on
a producer on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I did it, and he's like, "All right, now wipe it off, really aggressively. Try and get the smear." And I was
Is he talking aggressively too? Because I feel like Alex Jones is doing the interview right now. He's just like, "All right, soap it up, wash it off."
Yeah, no. I mean, he was very encouraging. He was very enthusiastic about his directions on how to try and wash off my tattoo. And so yeah, I guess I passed the test and proved that it was real. And he's like, "Tell me a bit about yourself," And so I was like, "All right." So I told him about how I'd grown up a St. Louis Cardinals fan, the role that St. Louis Cardinals baseball kind of played in developing and strengthening the relationship that I had with my mom, because she's the one who taught me about baseball. She's the one who taught me to play catch and, went to all my Little League games. She's the reason I'm a Cardinals fan, and she had recently passed. And so this playoff run meant a lot to me emotionally, and I was really excited about the Cardinals heading to the World Series. And he was like, "All right, man." He's like, I think we're going to go with you." And I was like, "Go with me for what?" And he's like, "We do a Skype scavenger hunt. We're pitting a Cardinals fan and a Red Sox fan for the World Series against each other to do like a scavenger hunt on Skype." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so, so I ended up.
So at this time, did you still realize that you were going to be on Jimmy Kimmel yet, or you're just like, "Oh, I'm just Skyping a producer"?
It hit me when the Cardinals actually did make it to the World Series, because at that point in time they were still one win away.
Right.
And so when they actually made it, when they actually won the last game to advance to the World Series, I was like, oh boy.
I'm going on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to be on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And then to have to go to like Zach and Ken and be like, "So here's the deal, guys. I need off on this day because I'm going to go be on Jimmy Kimmel Live," was like, I think Ken was suspicious. I think he thought I was full of shit. Zach was just like, "Yeah, whatever, man."
Yeah.
And so I went on and I did the thing with the scavenger hunt. And while we're filming this like remotely, I've got the game on the TV. So I'm like watching game 1 of the World Series in real time while we're filming this. And so like if you watch the video, you'll notice I keep doing this. I'm like glancing over, and it's because I'm trying to watch the game as it's happening.
That's
and but so we do the whole spiel, and at the end of the third round or whatever, Jimmy goes, "All right, guys, well, thank you so much for playing our game, and as a treat, we're going to give each of you a pair of tickets to the World Series in your town." And so that meant I was getting 2 tickets to like game 3 of the World Series in St. Louis. And I was like, woo! And so super excited about that. And then I took my best friend from grade school, Chad, to the first game, or to the third game of the World Series in St. Louis. And we were down there. We got very drunk. And I woke up the next morning with like one of the worst hangovers I had ever had. And we're driving back to Quincy, and we get to Quincy, and Chad drops me off in front of my house, and I get a notification on my phone. And I open up my phone, and it's an Instagram notification for a private message from Major League Baseball. And I'm like, you don't get one of these every day.
Right.
So basically, while I was down there at Game 3, Instagram and Major League Baseball were partnering together and having a contest where if you hashtag your photos that you took at the game with My World Series, that you would be entered into this contest to win tickets to the next night's game. And so I opened the message from Major League Baseball, and they're like, hey, congratulations, like you've won tickets to tonight's game. And I was like,
Holy
okay.
shit.
So I didn't know what to do because Chad had just left. I'm back in Quincy. I have to work tonight. And I do the thing that I think makes the most sense in my head. I'm like, if I ask my manager to come with me, then I won't have to work.
Yes.
So I call Zach, and I go, Zach, what are you doing? And he's like, I just got to Texas Roadhouse. I was like, can you be at my house in like 45 minutes and go to the World Series with me? And he goes, what? I go, I wish I had more time to explain, and I'll explain it when you come and get me, but I just won 2 more tickets to tonight's game. Do you want to go? And he's like, give me 5 minutes. And I said, okay. And so I guess in that time period, he basically just ran into Ken's office and said, Tony just won tickets to tonight's game. Can I go? And he's like, what? He's like, it's the World Series. Can I go? And he's like, yeah, fine. Take off. So then he came and he got me, and we went down to St. Louis and watched the game together.
I love it. I forgot that you won the tickets the day after. I knew that you went to 2 games. I just couldn't remember how you got the second set, but that is hysterical.
Yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good time to be alive. I just remember everybody coming into the restaurant and wanting to see your chess piece, and we had to explain to them how it wasn't a good idea to let one of our employees take their shirt off in the front of house. Just like, not just sanitary reasons, but just like, you know, we're not a Twin Peaks. We keep our clothes on at Texas Roadhouse. We will line dance for you, but we will not take our clothes off.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the dances?
I was at a wedding and I did the dance to Footloose. And everybody stared at me like I was an idiot.
Nice.
I'm trying to think if I remember any other. I think I might be able to do Copperhead Road.
I was going to say Copperhead Road I might be able to do. Footloose. I'm pretty sure if you throw on that Gretchen Wilson song, I can figure it out. Like, I am Gretchen Wilson when that song comes on. Oh, yeah. I had so much fun line dancing. And I swore, I was like, oh, man, I'm going down to Broadway in Nashville, and I'm freaking doing it. And I had like 2 trips. I had 2 trips where I was, I like told myself, I was like, I think it's called the White Horse, maybe. I was like, I'm going to this line dancing bar, and I'm going to fit in. And I got in front of the entrance, and you would have thought that like I was trying to get myself to walk into a strip club. I could not do it. I was like, I can't. They're professionals to me. They're just people that live in the South, and this is the bar that they go to. But to me, like, White Horse was like the Coyote Ugly of line dancing. So I was just like...
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I was like, I can go in there. I was like, I'm just a line dancer at Texas Roadhouse. Like, I'm not a line dancer in Nashville. I know these people, like, practice their choreography. So that is on my regret list.
Into the darkness, and you merely adopted it.
I mean, seriously, though, like, yeah, I mean, I just rented the boots. They made them and wore them. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely felt out of my element there. I always wanted to move there. I'm really glad that I never did, but it's near and dear to my heart. Like, a part of me lives there is kind of how I feel about it. So, but yeah, I had to bring up the line dances for sure. So we're getting into one of my favorite part of the stories, which is obviously, like, I moved to Kansas City, and we touch base over social media the rest of our lives. But I know that you went back to college. You went through this really awesome, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight journey at the same time as taking a bunch of credit hours. But the fact that you aren't dumb, right, was proven when you went to college. And you got to have a little fuck you moment when you were picked to do the speech for the class as well.
Right. Yeah. So 2014, I start I start dating a lady, and I still am dealing with like all of the emotions of like losing my mom. And we start dating, and it's like pretty fast. Like we're both, falling for each other. And looking back on it now, I don't know what her end game was, but
I was like, I don't remember this person, so must have not.
Yeah, I'm leaving her name out. I don't want her to get anything.
But, no, you're fine.
But we were attracted to each other and kind of got into it, and it fell in love pretty quickly. And because I think she understood or knew that I was still in that grieving period of like losing my mom and feeling alone, and I think she did a really great job emotionally manipulating me, and just with the things that she said, like, I'm going to be here for you now. Like we have a future together. Like this is going to last. And, I'm going to take care of you, and we're together. We're going to go do all these things now.
And to you, obviously that's music to your ears at that time.
Yeah. Like I fell for it. So I'm just head over heels crazy about her. She's making all of these amazing, like emotionally deep, connective promises and like plans with me, and I'm loving it. I'm like, I finally have somebody in my life who understands me, who loves me. Like I now have somebody else beside me. And so this goes on through most like 2014 and into 2015. And I never actually found out whether or not that she had been cheating or not. I suspected it, but she just very kind of abruptly just started becoming very cold, very distant. And I was like, I don't what? What's happened,
Yeah, where's all my love?
And she started to just really pull away, and she ended up breaking up with me. And she called me on the phone to do it. So she called me, and she's crying while she's breaking up with me. And I'm like, I'm hurt, and I just say like, why? Like, why are you doing this? And and this was like another defining moment for me. But she said, you have no future. And like those words cut me so deeply that I was on the floor. Like I've never been hit that hard. And so here we go again. Another really horrible thing happened.
Right.
And so I'm kind of just like, oh God, like my life is a mess. I'm working the Texas Roadhouse, and I'm 30. At this point, I'm like 30 years old, 31 years old. And I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, I've got nothing really to show for it after the end of the week. And my back hurts, my knee hurts. I'm busting my ass for people who don't care. And I'm just hoping and praying that they at least leave me a 20% tip. And that combined with like what she had said to me, and I was just like, oh my God, like what if she's right? What if I don't have a future? And what am I doing with my life? And I went out after drinking, or after working one night. Timmy and I went out drinking. We went to Spring Street. Spring Street? Yeah, Spring Street. And we ran into an old friend of mine that we both knew. And he was working at John Wood. And I was just talking to him, and I was like, yeah, man, like, I was always told that, like, I wasn't smart enough for college, and I could never make it or whatever. And,
college isn't for people like you, Tony.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I think deep down, I always knew I wasn't like stupid per se. I just didn't try.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm just like, like, how hard is it? Like, could I start? Could I start now? Would it even make sense, like, for me to start at the age of 31? And I remember he got really excited. He's like, dude, it's never too late to start. Like, you just start now. He's like, you can come in tomorrow and take this like entrance test, as a compass test.
Mm-hmm.
And based on like, if you can pass all the prerequisite qualifications of that test, like we can start putting you in classes right now. I was like, what? No way. Like it can't be that easy, And so I went and I took the compass test, and I came in and to his office because he was part of the admissions crew there, and I handed him my test results. And he's like, dude, these reading and spelling and grammar, like all this like reading comprehension stuff, he's like, these scores are off the charts. He's like, I've never seen scores this high. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's maybe I'm not stupid then.
Wow.
And so he's like, yeah. He's like, you're fine. Let's do this. You want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I think I really do. And so he's like, all right, well, let's get some of these basics out of there first. He's like, you want to take some summer classes? I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, let's put you in English first. He's like, you're clearly gonna do well. I was like, all right, cool. And so I took my first like English course over the summer, and immediately I was like hooked. I loved it. Like it gave me purpose. I had a new goal. I had a new like thing to shoot for. And I was like, oh my God, like I can do a thing now. Like I can go focus everything into this thing and obsess over it. And so I don't think I declared a major yet. I think I was like just communications general. I think was like my declared major. And so fall semester rolls around. I'm taking a full load of classes. I'm working full time. And, it starts to kind of like be a little bit of a struggle for me. And I had just lost a bunch of weight through like all this working out and stuff. And I'd gotten down to like a really healthy weight. And I started just like stress eating again. Like, because I'm doing like the school and the, working like pretty much full time. And it was a lot. It was a lot to handle. And so I'm going through, but I still don't know what I want to do. Like, what am I actually working towards? Like, beyond a degree. Like, what is it that I'm actually wanting to do with my life? Like, that was the reason for doing it. So I needed to have a moment to, like, determine what is that? What am I working towards truly? And I knew I didn't want to be, like, just like a normal job. Like, I didn't want to, like, clock in, clock out, go home, whatever. Like, I'm already doing that. Like, I'm already at a job where that's my job. I clock in, I do my job, I go home. I wanted something that meant more, that felt better to me, that would help me feel like I'm doing something with my life in all ways. And around this time, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but around this time, I start watching the show Mad Men from the beginning, and I'm watching it, and I'm seeing like what this world of advertising looks like. And in this like world of advertising, there's these people called copywriters, and every time I see them talking about like what they do for work, I'm like, that seems like a really fun job, but like it's probably not a job anymore. It probably doesn't exist. They probably have machines that do that now, right? And so I just Google copywriter jobs, like just to see if it's even a thing. And it is. It's definitely a thing. And the salaries aren't too terrible. So I'm like, okay, that's it. That's what I'm pursuing now. I'm going to be an advertising copywriter. I want to work in an advertising agency, and that's what I'm going for. And so I really like reaffirm my commitment to this chase, and just buckle down and just obsessively work on everything that I like, every project or every assignment that we get in classes, I pour all of my energy into. and I do really, really well. And I graduate. I'm on the dean's list every semester at John Wood, and I'm going to graduate with honors. And probably like 2 months before graduation, one of the administration people at John Wood pulls me into their office and says, "Hey, can you submit a speech? We want you to be one of the speeches at graduation." And I'm like, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
what? Why?
Yeah. Why me?
And they were like, "You were, nominated by your teachers, and they think you've got a really great story to tell. So tell it." And I was like, "Are you sure about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I went home and I started to kind of reflect and think about what has my journey meant, and what could I even say or share with people that would have any sort of impact or meaning at a graduation ceremony. And I was like, I guess I could just be honest and just tell them my story. And so I just sat down and started writing, and I wrote my story and tried to make it feel as relatable and engaging as I could. But I wrote it, and then I submitted it to the administration of the college, and they're like, "This is great. You're gonna speak." And I was like, "Cool."
It's like Jimmy Kimmel all over again. You're like, "What am I doing? What did I just?"
Yeah, it's like what? And that's also a recurring theme. It's like, I would try it out for the forecast, and I'd never played any of the songs. I went on Jimmy Kimmel just kind of haphazardly, like, "Yeah, it sounds fun." And I'm giving a graduation speech, and I've never given a speech in my life or written a speech in my life. And I'm just like, "Yeah, all right, cool, I can do that." And so I just get up and I do it. I share the speech. I tell them my story. Hey, grew up, Pleasant Hill. Had everything that I ever wanted with my band. Got to do all this great stuff. Have all these amazing life experiences. And then came home, and then my mom died, and then just the fucking carpet was pulled out from under me, right? Like, I was just on my ass. And how do you pick up the pieces in that situation? And I think it's really important and really valuable to share with people that it's possible, that you can do it. And, ideally, you don't have to go through adversity. Ideally, life does go the way you want it to, and it does go in your favor. But it doesn't always. And I think the important thing for me from my story and my experiences to share is that you don't have to give up. It's you don't have to. You can pick yourself up, you can reinvent yourself, and you can move forward with your life and grow in ways that you never imagined.
And just because you decide to start school at 31 years old doesn't mean that, it's too late.
No, not at all. In fact, I think it was a second act for me in my life, my story, because it's exactly what I did. I did reinvent myself. I graduated from John Wood. I was accepted to every college that I had applied for to finish my 4-year degree. So I was accepted everywhere. It was just a matter of can I afford it? And for a lot of them, I couldn't.
And timing's a big piece too.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I got my acceptance letter from the University of Miami, and within it was several very large amount of financial aid offers. And I just thought, I was like, I'm packing my fucking bags. I'm going to Miami. Woo! Because I didn't realize that they were, at the time, I didn't realize that they were as expensive as they are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially out-of-state tuition. Awful.
Yeah, and so I went and I looked at what my final bill of sale per year would be, and realized that even though their financial assistance was incredibly generous, I would still not be able to really, within reason, afford it. And I was like, so then I had to, take my swim trunks out of the suitcase. But yeah, so I ended up transferring to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and finishing my bachelor's of advertising there. Um, while there, I got to have even more experiences and make even more friends. And there wasn't a time, at least that I could know of, at the University of Illinois, where I felt othered or different or strange. Like internally in my brain, I'd be like, I'm a 32, 33, 34-year old, student, like living in a dorm. What am I doing? like,
Yeah.
but externally, none of the people at the university, like from instructors to people who just work there, none of them looked at me any different, treated me any different, brought up my age. No one ever mentioned it at all. The students who I became friends with and would socialize with, none of them ever mentioned it at all. The only time it ever came up was when so I went to like my first college party as a student. And
Oh my God.
yeah, it was great. So we're hanging out in this apartment, everyone's drinking, having a good time, we're playing pong. And all of a sudden, the High School Musical 2 soundtrack comes on, and everybody's losing their shit. They're all fucking singing along. They're treating this like it's Journey, right?
Oh my God.
They're like, da, 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 da. I'm just like, what the hell? Is this High School Musical 2? And I'm like, how is this a thing? And then it occurs to me, I'm like, this is a major like cultural moment for them.
Yes.
I'm
It's
the
still
old
not
guy.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, what? This is so bizarre. And then and then for whatever reason, like the subject of 9/11 comes up, and I say, oh yeah, that happened my senior year of high school. And the girl sitting next to me just kind of slowly turns and goes, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 34. She goes, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I am. She's like, no way. And I was like, yeah. She's like, show me your ID. So I showed it to her, and she's like, I thought at most you were 26. And I was like, no.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, those are the only times that like my age ever like came up or became some kind of factor.
Well, and they were like, what are you doing here at that age? Like, did you ever have to kind of like explain yourself? Because, when you don't fit in with the norm anyways, you already know that that's your thing, but it's a fucking struggle to also be your authentic self because you don't fit in. So now you just get questioned and looked at everywhere you go, So I think it's just a double-edged sword of being that way, but it's not like there was any way for you to fit in anyways. Like you wouldn't have been a good farmer, you would have been an asshole farmer, because it wasn't your thing. So exactly. I can't imagine how many times it comes up when it's like you had to explain your life story because they're just like, okay, it doesn't make sense. Like, why didn't you go to college then? Oh, okay, all this is happening. Like, you're just one of those people that kind of have to explain yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And so, so while I was at the University of Illinois, I became a tour guide for the admissions office. I would do blogs. I would write blogs for the admissions office. I helped like a leadership position in the nation's largest student advertising club. And again, like students treated me with respect and viewed me as a peer. Like no one ever made me feel old or different or weird. Like, which was awesome. Like
which is really important. Yeah, I'm glad that you're highlighting that.
And so like, I think if you're someone who is maybe on the fence about taking some sort of leap to reinvent yourself, definitely don't be afraid of it because again, I can only speak of my experience, I suppose, but like it's hard to do, but I think anybody can do it if they really, really are dedicated to it or committed to it. And I don't think you're going to meet as much resistance as you feel or convince yourself that you do. Like I'm one of those people who like plans everything, and I have to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. before I'm comfortable moving forward with something. Because in my mind, I play out all of the scenarios that can backfire and go wrong.
Absolutely.
And I want to be able to respond to them. And again, I found out that's also a trauma response. The reason that happens.
I just thought I was a freaking genius. When I actually found out that that was a trauma response, it made me feel less than, which is why I still don't really like fully like, okay, like I'll get into why I believe I should respond that way. Like I'm not going to go away from my own healing, but I still think it's a superpower when you plan for all timelines. That's what I call it now. I said, honey, I plan for all timelines, but I'm aware that it's a trauma response and I'm working on it. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I thought I was on TikTok and someone was like, if you're somebody who does that, who has plan A, B, C, and who plays out everything that can possibly happen to go wrong, the reason you do that is because you did go through something that was horrible and you don't ever want to experience it again.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm that type of person. And so a lot of times, at least in the past, I was able to successfully talk myself out of doing things or experiencing things or making changes that would have possibly been beneficial to me. But my experience doing this change and taking this journey and going through college at my age and figuring it all out as I go and reinventing myself, I did not experience nearly as many setbacks or as much resistance as I thought I was going to.
Because you planned for it in your head.
Honestly, not everyone, most of the people, there were a couple of naysayers, but most of the people who I met on that journey were rooting for me. They became like my cheerleaders. Like they were like, dude, this is awesome and I hope you do it. Like you're an awesome dude for doing this and I think it's super awesome and exciting. And I think you're going to run into more of that more times than you're going to run into somebody being like, what the hell are you doing here? You know, what do you think you're doing at this age or whatever? Like,
yeah, I just think there are people out there like that. And if you meet them, like just, they're projecting their own stunted regret and fears on you. Cause I feel like that's what I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of other people's fears, a lot of their, unfinished dreams or things that they didn't have courage to do. And I took those on as my own fears at a really, really young age when it came to the things that I wanted to do at that time, which I mean, just like you. So I wanted to go to Western when I was younger. I know you know that because you're from the area that I'm from. That's what you do. You go to John Wood or you go to Western or you just go get a job. And I went to... what are they? They're like the freshman tours that you can do. You're a senior in high school, but you can go, check out to see if you want to go to college there. I wanted to do a broadcasting degree because I had already been doing an internship for the last however long at the local radio station, and I just knew that being somewhere in media and around music was definitely like my thing. I went to the broadcasting thing, and it was like geared more towards like news anchor. Like I didn't see any radio, anything. It literally just looked like a news setup. So I ended up ditching the rest of the tour like halfway through and just going and meeting up with one of my friends that was going to college there. I think we went to like Domino's and hung out in his dorm for a bit. And I just remember feeling super depleted because I was like, I know this is what I want to do. But I really don't want to go to like a 4-year university that's going to teach me how to be a newscaster when I want to be like a DJ. Like I want to be behind the scenes. I want to be behind the mic. I don't really want to be in front of the camera with the 10 pounds of makeup and hair. So that I had a moment where I was like, oh, I wish I would have dropped out of college because I would like to be like a graphic designer. Like I would be able to make all the things that I want to make. And I realized, especially now with the digital age, I really credit it. Like I have a home studio now and I don't have my broadcasting degree, but I learn a lot of things online and from people who are in the industry. So, I mean, like you, I didn't go back to college. I didn't take that route. But I definitely started everything on my own and I reinvented myself multiple times. And just like you, like I know it's possible. And the biggest and hardest thing is like believing in yourself. Like there are days where I just get absolute imposter syndrome and I own the company. You know what I mean? I'm like I am the face of it. I'm the reason that it exists. And I'm like, I don't think I can do this today. What, like be myself, you know? Like I have moments like that. Another thing that you've done besides reinventing not only like your career, your mindset, your physical body is you took that degree, you moved to Vermont, and now you're located in Wisconsin. But I still think that those are unheard of pivotal moves at your time. I know that there's stories out there, but obviously it goes against the norm. People don't even want to lose equity in a house, which is the reason they'll stay somewhere the next 30 years of their life, you know? In my mind, like you, I don't think like that. I'm like, I'm not giving up my time on earth because I can make more money living here for 20 years. It doesn't make sense to me. That's a waste of my time. So I enjoy that you still have that liveliness in you. Like you want to fit into the world like we all do, but you're still like, oh, I'm not taking that trade-off. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it your way, but I'm going to do it my own way. So you taught me about laws in Vermont while you lived there. And obviously you like coming back to the Midwest more, definitely Wisconsin. But what are some like lifey pivotal things that happened to you in Vermont that you really think sculpted you into who you are today?
Gosh, so after I graduated from the University of Illinois, the main goal was to find a job. I had my bachelor's degree in advertising. I wanted to be a creative, but I didn't go to portfolio school, and I didn't have the money to go and get like a graduate degree in some specialized, creative thing. I just wanted to be a copywriter. And so I had some work that I'd made as a student, and boy, was it bad. But I did it. I had something to show. And so I started applying to different advertising agencies in St. Louis and Chicago, and I'd had several interviews, but they all passed on me. And so I was starting to panic. I was like, "Oh God, did I go and get this degree for nothing? Like, why did I do this?" And then so I was like, you know what? Let's just expand the net. Let's just see where I land. And so I just started applying to every advertising agency from LA to Maine, So I ended up applying at this agency in Burlington, Vermont that specialized in the green energies, sort of industry. And I got hired there. Actually, it started off as a rejection, and I turned it into a job offer just because I wanted to know how I could not be bad. Because I basically sent my resume and my portfolio, and the guy was like, "This isn't very good," and I was like, "Okay, great. How can I make it better?" And I was like, "Can I just pick your brain? Can I just pick your brain and like get a few tips?" Because I was kind of tired of getting rejected. And he goes, "Yeah, call me on Wednesday." So I called him on Wednesday, and we talked for like half an hour. And he goes, "Tell you what," he's like, "I'm going to give you an assignment. You got 24 hours to get it done." He's like, "I want you to make me a full advertising campaign for an autonomous electronic lawnmower, right? One of those like plug-in lawnmowers that just mows your yard, kind of like the sweepy things, right?"
Roomba thingies.
Yeah. He's like, "Make me just a full advertising campaign based around that product." And I was like, "Okay." So I did all the research. I like polled my friends for like a consumer insight, and like when I made this advertising, and then I made this advertising campaign, and I sent it into him at like 6 a.m. the following day, and he goes, he sends back an email and he says, "This looks great. Call me, or I'll call you tonight at 5. And I was like, "All right, fine." So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, come out here and interview." I said, "Okay, great." So they flew me out to Vermont. Took the interview. Interview goes fine. Come back, pack my shit, move to Vermont. Start working there, and things are okay for starters. Like things are going all right. I'm doing, I'm learning the ropes and figuring out how to do this job. And, I start noticing that there's a lot of like cultural differences and like social differences, and like it's not that people from Vermont are particularly mean or anything. They're just like I'm used, and I'm sure you are too. I'm used to being in a grocery store, standing in line at the cash register and having casual conversations with strangers because it's just what we do.
Yeah,
you know?
you're standing next to me. I'm talking to you. That's also the
Yeah,
roadhouse in you. That's the 10-4 rule that will never, ever go away no matter where you are in life, is what I found.
Yeah.
You're raised in the Midwest and you work for a roadhouse for a little less than a decade. You will greet and say hello to any animal, tree, or human that walks up to you until you take your last breath.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Kent Taylor.
And so, doing that in Vermont, like you get like looks,
like you're some weird homeless person. They're like,
yeah, it's just like, like I'd be standing in line next to somebody at Price Chopper or something and be like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? Just whatever, just anything because we're both standing there. And they look at me and they kind of give me one of these. They're like, fine, like what do you fucking want,
Yeah.
And so, super, super weird. I think, what was it? Somebody told me that the official state motto of Vermont is, welcome to Vermont, please leave.
Yes. I mean, I haven't been there, but based on your stories, I could see that.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you come visit, and then please get the hell out of here.
Come visit, please leave. I still remember when you're like, yes, you can leave your house naked and walk around naked, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you get undressed in public, it's decent. It's indecent exposure.
Yeah. So if you leave your house nude and just be nude, you're allowed to be nude. It's totally fine. I found that out because I ran into I was walking to work one day and I was stopped at the gas station to get coffee. When I walked in, I didn't notice her when I walked in, but when I came to stand back in line, there's just a fully naked woman wearing combat boots and a choker necklace, and I'm just like, what? Like, what's happening here? And then also later on, there's another time during the pandemic lockdown, I was sitting by my window, just kind of like dangling my legs out of it, because I lived in one of those kind of like New England mini mansions, been partitioned into apartments.
Very cool.
And so I was just sitting in my window, and I'm watching like this, because UVM was right up the street, and so I'm watching like students kind of meander by, and this completely nude man on a motor scooter comes flying down the street, just butt ass naked. He's like standing up while he's going. He's like like accelerating, but like standing up on it, and just bearing all for the world to see. And I just what
pretty
the hell
risky
is
on a
this?
motorbike. You got all your best parts hanging out.
I know. Yeah, it was definitely something I would never have thought to have done. But yeah, and then like, so like the legalities around like marijuana, like you can technically have marijuana and you can smoke marijuana, but you can't purchase it. Like there can be no transaction of it. Because people in Vermont can't decide on like how they want to like let the government have access to like the revenue created by that.
Of course.
So because there's this like never-ending like conflict or debate between voters in Vermont, like I don't know that they'll ever really get around to like making like having your own weed farm and selling it to people at a dispensary like a legal thing, because they're like, no, I can grow my own weed and I don't want the government touching my weed, like. So
Vermont's not the only battle with that right now. My heart goes out to them for sure, trying to figure it out. But
yeah,
it's different everywhere. I mean, you go to Colorado and you would think that weed has literally been like Colorado's the Amsterdam of the United States. That's what I think. Like they were the trailblazers. That's just what Colorado is. But then you have places like Vermont, and I mean, Kansas is the same. It's completely illegal here. I think they push medicinal through. I know there are dispensaries here, but I mean, I don't have that little card that says I need to smoke weed legally for my health,
Yeah, I mean, even here in Wisconsin, I think it's coming up for debate. I know that the governor really wants to push for it to become legal here in Wisconsin.
So I was
But
gonna
anyways,
say, go ahead.
uh, but yeah, so like going back to my Vermont adventure, everything was going fine, and then come January 2020, a little thing happens in the news, and around February or March, they're like, "Hey, take your computer home tonight." It was a Friday. They're like, "Take your computer home tonight. We're going to work from home for a couple weeks, just a couple weeks. That's all it's going to be." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I take my computer home, and I'm just working from home for a couple weeks. That turns into a couple more weeks. That turns into a couple more weeks. And that turns into a couple more weeks. And those turn into a couple more months.
That was the weirdest part about it is everyone was like, oh, we're going to shut the country down for 2 weeks. We're just going to eradicate this. And then after 2 weeks, everybody was like, okay, so we're not going back to work yet. So it was this weird limbo of I need to be ready to go back to work tomorrow, and then but work's still not there, and now work's still not there. And like now you really did, I mean, you have those videos of people like in their best attire, but then they have like no pants on, accidentally getting up from their webcam. Like the lifestyle that people didn't realize that they were even reinventing in their daily just work from home schedules is definitely something for me to observe that I think super interesting. I'm like,
Yeah.
Did anybody even realize, because we were all waiting to go back to work, right? Nobody ever thought that we would literally reinvent our whole society. Like look at DoorDash, Instacart, Uber Eats, all of that stuff. Like those companies came in clutch for us at that time, but now it's a way of life. Like, hey, do you want to eat tonight? And it's not even, oh, do you want to go out? It's like, do you want to DoorDash if you don't even want to cook anymore?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I mean, I was living in Vermont. I was getting all of my groceries delivered to me via Instacart. I didn't leave my apartment. I was shut in because I was so afraid of catching COVID because, you know, I've smoked cigarettes for many years and I was kind of a heavier set dude. And so just kind of sat in my apartment till 2021, basically, before I started actually going out in public again or feeling like I was safe to go out in public again. And, you know, I was going everywhere wearing my mask. And I think Vermont was pretty good about keeping masks on and socially distancing and things like that. But I had pretty much wrecked myself because I think I'd probably put on like 100 pounds just sitting in my apartment, eating, not exercising, just eating. And then I ended up losing my job there in Vermont in September or October of 2020, and then started applying again. And I found this really awesome opportunity here in Wisconsin at a really great agency, and so I applied and ended up getting hired. So I started the job in 2021 from Vermont, but my new job in Wisconsin from Vermont.
Oh, wow.
And and so,
I said, oh, wow. You were remoting
Yeah.
into your new place?
Yeah, exactly. And so I lived in Vermont for about 6 more months, and then relocated. Waited for my lease to expire in Vermont, and then relocated here to Wisconsin. And
And you still have dreams of being like, so I know you are a copywriter. That's what you wanted to go for then. Mm-hmm. So obviously getting to the point where now you've reinvented your life and you got what you wanted in now your new reinvented life. Is there complacency that you've had to fight finding your new goals? Because I know you want to be like the overseer of the copywriters. I can't think of what that job title is eventually called.
Oh, creative director?
Yeah, creative director. Like I would say like that's like your new goal of eventually like what you're striving for since, you know, you've accomplished all your goals. But how do you, you know, make sure you exercise and eat instead of just eat, I guess is my question.
It's hard, especially in advertising where our workload has a tendency to be very chaotic, I think is the right word. It's gosh, you have days where you're working until 1 a.m. and then you have days where you try and make yourself look busy from 2:30 onward. So um, so it's a stretch. I think it's just about like it, finding structure in a field that has very little structure to it. If I've got days where I'm just getting swamped and I know it's going to be a 1 a.m. type of day, I instead of like sitting and spinning my gears and forcing myself to write and make some sort of progress without like letting myself stand up and do something, I don't do that. I get up, I go for walks. Straight up, I just like, if I don't have a meeting booked for a couple hours and I don't know where the insight for a project is, like in my brain, I just say, you know what, screw it, go for a walk. I take a 30-minute, 40-minute walk and come back and look at it again and try and, I let my unconscious, like subconscious brain kind of work out the problem for me while I just go for a walk.
That's some great advice, though.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, because like you're just torturing yourself, and I learned that really early on. Like, you can't just sit there and force good work to come out of you as a creative. I think like you can't just like sit there and be like, I'm gonna sit here until I solve this problem.
Yeah.
So, get up, take a walk. You don't have any meetings or anything. Just get up, take a walk, clear your brain. Let your unconscious brain sort it out for you, and eventually you figure out the real problem, and you're like, got it,
That's some great advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't had any problems with, like, complacency. It's just forcing yourself to do it. You're not always going to get the exact sort of output that you planned on or that you probably need or want. You're not going to be able to fit in like a 2.5-hour workout. But, if you can get up and take a couple 45-minute walks or something, that's almost as good.
Yeah.
I try to wake up as early as I can to try and get some sort of physical activity in my day, whether that's just stretching or, doing anything before I head to work. But yeah, I mean, it's making the time to live your life and not letting the job or the problems at your job consume you. Setting barriers, or boundaries. Like that's been very important for me too. It's something that I don't think I've ever really had a skill that I could do that. I've never known how to set boundaries, and so working in this field has helped me set those boundaries for myself and be like, hey, I understand that I need to get this done and that this is really important, but I need to take care of myself too.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So prioritizing that, but it's all about balance. Finding the right balance to make it work for you. In terms of like my skill set, I'm still growing, still learning and developing every single day.
Do you like being a student of life?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Reading, watching TV, learning how to tell stories in different ways. These are all like fantastic resources for writing, for any kind of writing, I think, but especially for advertising writing and, telling the stories of brands or products and things like that. Like it's really important to be able to step outside and look at all the different angles and ways in that you can tell a story. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think the future's it's still looking pretty good for me.
Yeah, and like you said, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. Obviously, it's scary. You can come up with so many scenarios in your head to make that mountain look 10 times bigger, but until you actually put those thoughts into action and do it in reality for yourself, you'll find out that half of the scenarios you came up with, even though, it's just kind of a defense mechanism to take care of yourself, you have to go out there. You don't get to live your life in your head and decide, oh, I already thought about it like this, so that's why I didn't, pursue it in real life. And again, you've always been like a huge optimistic person anyways, but you have had a lot of things that have taken people down where they really don't recover. And nor do I want anybody to think that, if you're serving tables at a certain job, that there's something wrong with you or you stepped out of line. I served tables, I bartended. It was, to me, the most honorable work I did besides volunteer work. The way that you're able to learn customer service just like on the battlefield is how I think about it. Just how quick you had to be. And the way that they taught us to fill those voids. I can't tell you how many things I've learned from the service industry that I've been able to take into other industries. So just wrapping up, I wanted people, like, I know you're like, in the story, we're like, oh my God, what are we doing with our lives? We're serving tables and da-da-da-da-da. But that's just the false program that we have, that you're supposed to do everything at a certain age. So obviously, like when I'm serving tables and I just came back from a 2-week road trip that I had the time of my life, but now I get on social media and everybody I went to high school with is showing their college diplomas or where they're going to grad school and all of that. There's no way to not have FOMO. There's no way to be like, oh, I screwed up because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. And I think even though you decided the path to go back to college, you're in advertising, you took the chance on Vermont. That was a really great experience. Now you're back in the Midwest, which works better for you. You're such a good story. You're a great TED Talk, even though this is like a 2-hour interview. But it's a really great story of adversity and keep going and believe in yourself. And you've sprinkled in some really, really great advice, but I just really wanted to wrap it up to how important I really think your story is, because you've faced so many things that a lot of people would just go ahead and give up, and you don't. And then you have succeeded in these goals that you wanted, and you don't find complacency in it, and you're not like, oh, I'm old, I'm giving up now. Age really is just a number. It is in your head if you want it to be in your head, and it's how you take care of your physical body. But I've always rooted for you. I will always root for you, and I love that every time we talk, that if you come up on something, you're like, dude, it's gonna be fine. I'll figure it out. Check back in. I'll have a story for you for sure.
Yeah. I think if anybody takes anything away from my story or my experiences at all, I just hope that it is, learning not to give up on yourself. You may not always get everything you want. You may not always reach your goals, but you'll find ways to get there, and you'll find new ways to get there. If you try, if you just do it. And, as long as you have air in your lungs and a beating heart, I'd say there's no reason to roll over and play dead. Just keep going, keep fighting, because that's really the only way to grow and keep moving forward. So
I couldn't end your episode any better way, any better wording. That's beautiful, and it's totally Tony. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and being vulnerable with us, especially about your mom. God rest her soul. Any last words at all? Just anything else roaming around in that brain of yours that you want to throw in the mix before we introduce our musical friends?
It's always free to be kind.
Yes, it is. Well, Tony, I love you. I will always support you. I always root for you. And if any of our friends listening want to keep up with you, I have linked your Facebook down below so they can just see your adventures, or, if they just want to reach out to you or talk to you. Some people want to come on the show anonymously and they don't want to be reached out to, and others are just like, hey man, I'm kind of like you. I'm all about the human connection. So if you want to
hit me up on Instagram. Tony Peck loves you.
Yes, Tony Peck loves you. I'll throw that down below too. My favorite way to end the episode, every episode, is to showcase music that I love. Lately, I've been rotating Neovine and Unlike Pluto very hardcore. But as a musician, you understand like royalties and, you know, there's a lot of music that I can't play. But I did find a track. I picked it because of the name and because of like how I remember you, which is the fact that we're supposed to be married right now, according to you, in 2013. So I found a Neovine track from his album Horizon, and it's called Honeymoon. The lyrics do not pertain to anything. It's just the beat and the fact that it's Honeymoon. I thought it was a nice beat. But this is a really good song from that album, so I want to play it for you and all of my friends.
This is the Hoosier Media Network, the best in podcasting.